Now, our next guest, he jumped into the music scene back in 1987 with You're Never Gonna Give You Up. Like, we've been singing it all morning, I can't even apologise. So a song which was #1 in 25 different countries.
It went along with so many other songs, so many albums, and now over 35 years later, Rick Astley has had a very memorable career. Of course, he is waiting for us, but first, let's take a look at him in action. Rick's like, make it stop, but our camera people are going mad behind here. They're like, yeah. Good morning, Rick. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, that's a bit much at this time of the morning, I think, all that wobbling about in a raincoat. But yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. Thank you.
We're an hour in. This is exactly what we need right now.
We've been going a long time. But we had Pete Waterman on the show the other day, of course, of Stock Aitken and Waterman. And he was talking to us about when you were a tea boy in the office. And he was like, if he can blast it out when he's making a cup of tea, he was going to be amazing. What was that time like? You were a tea boy.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I mean, Pete loves to tell it that way, but they'd actually signed me to make a record, and then they just got mega busy. They had one hit after another, and they just got to a point where they said, look, we're never going to do anything with this kid. We better get him down to London and get him doing something. So I used to just, sit in sessions, make the tea, make the coffee, get the sandwiches, do whatever was needed. Play table tennis with Dead or Alive if I had to, or Bananarama. But it was like an education, to be honest. It was kind of like doing an apprenticeship because I got to use their studios a little bit at night and at the weekend. But the main thing about it was I was around the three guys and I just tried to soak up as much as I could. And as much as Pete will, tell you a story about anything, which he loves to do, he's also a very together guy. You know what I mean? He knew exactly what he was doing.
And absolutely, and you could tell that because, yes, I know that you were signed and you were part of a double act together, but you did eventually go and write that hit, You're Never Gonna Give Me Up. It was massive. Like, it took the world by storm, and your career really took off. So by the age, like being a T-boy, being in the car with Pete Waterman, soaking up all this, this wisdom, all of a sudden you made it at 21, like 40 million records. Like, what was it like at such a young age?
Well, you've probably heard that story before with people you've had talked to. I mean, it's very, very hard to kind of like put it in a box and explain it because I couldn't explain it to myself while it was happening or even ever since. It's such an emotional, ride. Because you go from being completely unknown, obviously, to being kind of world famous, you know what I mean? In that sort of year or so, I ended up doing gigs in places like Tasmania, do you know what I mean? And that's saying something. So it was pretty mad. But also as well, if I'm blunt about it, you make some money. So you go from like being like a penniless kid who used to play the drums in a band in a little town to this kid who's like in videos all around the world and all the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of slightly alienated from most of the people you've grown up as well because you're famous, you've got money, you're on the telly all the time. It's a weird balance to try and keep hold of your friends and keep hold of some sort of real life,
So it did, like, looking back on it now, you can be circumspect. Can you see how it changed you?
Yeah, I can, definitely. But also I'm very grateful. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't swap with anybody. I truly would not. I had 4 or 5 years of all that kind of nonsense and running around. And I had a really good time for most of it. I just think towards the end of it, I was just a bit burnt out and I didn't really feel like I was involved in music. I felt like I was involved in selling music. And the two things do go together if you're lucky. They really do if you're lucky. But I just think there has to be a balance, as with most things in life, and I think, obviously, I'm clocking on now, I'm 57, and I think balance is the most important thing. You can have too much of anything, and I think I've got the balance right now where I get to do Glastonbury, which is crazy, but I also, get to have a real life as well. So yeah, I'm in a good spot, I think. And I think I use my past as a barometer, and I try and sort of focus on the best times that I'm having right now.
Yeah.
And just say, well, I wouldn't be having them without those early days, So again, that is a balance as well. So.
And you can actually tell by your performances how much you're embracing it. And like when you say that you decided to step away at 21 years of age, like you think of a lot of artists that hit superstardom very early and struggle to deal with it as the time goes on. But did you meet your wife, Lenny, at that time, or your partner is now your wife manager?
I did, yeah.
And stepped away for family. Like, was it family that made you actually, like, that was a huge decision?
Yeah, I think what it was, as I say, after a few years, I'd become a dad, we'd become parents, and I kind of feel that for most people, obviously, is a game changer, and it makes you think about life differently. It makes you think, whatever job you have, and mine wasn't a job, you can't call doing what I did a job, but I mean, whatever you're involved in, you kind of sort of look at everything different. And I kind of feel that, I just felt I'd had a really good time of it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of had the attitude that before they throw me out the front door, I'll walk out the back door while no one's looking. And that's kind of what I did. And I think I'm not fooling myself. I wasn't at the height of any point in my career when I did it.
Yeah.
But I probably still had a few, bit of life left in the legs kind of thing. But I just felt it was better to walk away then and just say, well, I can go and enjoy being a dad. And I did that for like 50. I didn't do a gig for 15 years. I didn't sing Never Gonna Give You Up for 15 years. The only time I sang it was at friends' weddings. That's the only time I sang it.
Like, that's unbelievable to completely go cold turkey like that.
What a present to be like, I'm bestowing the song upon you, okay? Enjoy it.
But I also think, I don't want to come across as Mr. Corny, but I know how lucky I've been. I know how lucky I've been in the sense that for whatever reason, that occurred to me at the time that, yes, you can just walk away. You don't have to keep plugging away and keep trying to have a hit and it being harder and harder as the years go on. You can just sort of say, I'm just going to knock it on the head. And I did. But again, if I'm just going to be blunt about it as well, and I love being this blunt about it, I made some money.
Yeah.
How many people in their 20s get to earn enough money to say, you know what, I can just pack it in? Yeah. Hardly anybody gets that. And I think, again, I know how lucky I've been. And I think coming back to it, when I started gigging again about 14, 15 years ago, I came back to it with a real kind of fun love of it. Yeah. Because I didn't see Never Gonna Give You Up like a millstone around my neck. I saw it like this amazing adventure I had all those years ago. And now I get to go out and have a laugh with it, and have a grin with it. Yeah. And I look at, you just showed a bit of club footage from the audience we played to at Glastonbury, that sea of people. And it's just a fun moment. It's just kind of like, okay, let's get it on.
Well, Rick, it was one of the, honestly, Guns N' Roses are headlining Glastonbury and everyone's talking about Rick Astley. It was amazing. But
they didn't have that suit though, did they?
They didn't. You're dead right. But you said that yourself and Lenny, your wife, who's also your manager, that you walked out to look at it beforehand and you were like, no one's here, we're going to bomb.
Yeah, I mean, still, even at 11:30, there was hardly anybody there. I mean, hardly anybody there, to the point where you look at it and we thought, should we do a runner? And we thought, no, we can't do a runner. And she literally said to me, well, this is going to be embarrassing. and then literally within the space of 20 minutes, there's like, I don't know how many people, tens and tens and tens of thousands of people. So, but that's the joy of doing some of those festivals where you've no idea who's in the audience. You've no idea what the audience is. And I think in some bizarre way, it takes the pressure off. If you're a headliner, that's different. Obviously, Elton closed the thing and he was incredible and he had the biggest audience Glastonbury's ever had. So, boom, knock that one out of the park. But for the rest of people, you kind of have to just go, it takes the pressure off because you just sort of think, well, let's just enjoy it. We're here. And that's what my daughter said to me. She was with us and she said, look, you're already here. You've got the suit on, go and do it, and so we just had a lot of fun. It was great.
It's amazing to be able to have that sort of perspective and to play Glastonbury for the first time on the Pyramid stage, the age of 57, just unbelievable as well. Listen, Never Gonna Give You Up, it is getting re-released, I believe, with different work. How's this working? Our hearing.
It's not exactly a re-release. We just re-recorded it recently. I've done a campaign with Specsavers, and it's about a number of things for me actually. Hearing obviously to me has been a crucial and enormous part of my life, and I've noticed as I've got a bit older, my hearing's going a bit, and I think that is possibly a little bit about being around loud music, but I think mainly it's probably also an age thing. And the weird thing is that if you put your glasses on, nobody kind of like judges you about that. Glasses are quite a cool thing these days. But I think there is a bit of a stigma with hearing loss and having hearing aids. And so I went for a hearing test. And I mean, listen, I'm 57, so the chances are I will have a bit of hearing loss. And I went through this whole process of getting hearing aids made and everything. And I'm still on that journey of how to use them and when to use them, to be honest, because obviously when I'm working and what have you, I already have in-ears in. Do you know what I mean? And that's just a constant thing now.
Yeah. Well, you've re-recorded the song "Never Gonna Give You Up" with the misheard lyrics. Like you wouldn't get nits from any other guy with all the how people hear it. So that is with Specsavers. And just to let everyone know, your new album, Are We There? Are We There Yet? It's out now, and you're going to be in Belfast on March the 4th and Dublin in the Three Arena on March the 5th, 2024. Rick Astley, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a grin. Thank you.
We'll see you in March, Rick. Thank you very much for that. Pleasure to have you on.